Hello, welcome to MECH 416/816 Engineering Acoustics. I am Professor Moore, who will be teaching this course for the semester. I just wanted to give you a brief look at who I am, since I know that we will not be meeting during the first few days of class. And then in the rest of this video, we're going to go through the syllabus for the class. Like I said, we're going to be going through the syllabus in the rest of this video. You can see my name is listed here. My pronouns are he, him, and his. My office is in W330 Nebraska Hall, and my email is listed there. Office hours will be determined after I get back from all of my travel, which I'll discuss in a moment. Our lectures will be 2 to 3:15 on Tuesday and Thursday in A445 in Kiewit Hall. For this class, we're going to use Canvas for all course assignments, announcements, website functions, and then we're also going to use a software called Discord for course discussion, direct discussion between me and you, and also discussion with your teams, and then also for announcements. And I may post assignments on there as well. So you're going to be asked and expected to create a Discord account and then join the server for this class that is listed below. Again, you can find this, the syllabus on Canvas, and you'll find the links there as well. This tool is going to be used for team-based discussions and for discussing homeworks and so forth. And once you're in a team, you'll get a private channel for your team. You can get Discord for all platforms, Windows, Macs, iOS, Android. You can just use a web browser if you want. I recommend you download it on your computer and on your phone. Once it's on your phone, it's just like texting each other, and it makes it very easy to access. In the case that in-person classes are canceled, we will either resort to doing a Zoom-based lecture or probably a pre-recorded lecture to make up for what we missed in class. If we're doing an in-class activity that day, we may resort to doing that either as a homework assignment separately or using Zoom, depending on why in-person classes were canceled. So the textbook is required for this class. You can get a PDF version, and I will share one with you as well. I've done my best to try and minimize the need on this for this textbook, but there are several places where we will be relying on topics or problems from the book. Course catalog is listed here. You can read through that on your own time. The learning objectives for the class are listed here. These are the things that I want you to be able to do by the end of this class, and these are the things that I'm going to be teaching. You're going to be working in terms of homework and in-class problems, and you'll be tested on the exams as well. And if something arises where I need to shift grades because, say, I created an exam question that was very difficult and actually unfair and does not actually achieve one of the learning objectives, that's a case where I would want to shift one of these grades if needed. I've only ever had to do this once in all the time that I've been teaching, so don't expect this to happen. But if some freak accident happens where I drastically over-design an exam or something like that, then I reserve the right to do that. Grade breakdown is shown here. I'm not going to take attendance, but you should absolutely come to as many classes as you possibly can. That's because we're going to be doing in-class assignments or in-class activities that will be graded and will require you to be there. You will not be able to make those up. And if you don't tell me you're missing a class, you're just going to get a 0. If you make arrangements or you tell me that you won't be there for some legitimate reason, then we can work something out offline. Okay, and additionally, I will be assigning some mini homeworks in class that you'll just have to be asked to do, and then you'll be turning in individually in class. And those are things that will not necessarily be posted the same day as class, but will be added probably added as an assignment in Canvas after there. It will depend on the size of the mini assignment, whether it goes along with another homework, or whether it warrants being its own assignment. All right, so regarding courses or teams and cooperative learning, we're going to do a lot of working together, or you are going to do a lot of working together in teams. So we're going to form teams after the first week. You will then be doing in-class activities, in-class assignments, and homework assignments in your teams, and you should really rely on them as a learning community. And what that means is that for the homeworks, what you should do is each person should attempt a problem, and then you should meet as a team and work together to try and solve that. That is the best way to learn in this class. So a team is going to be 3 or 4 people in one. In this class right now, as a recording of this, we have 13 people, so that means we'll have 3 teams of 3 and 1 team of 4 people. And if needed to, we can expand another group to 4. So I'm going to form teams based on using a evidence-based tool called CATME. This tool will you'll fill out a survey which will take into account your schedule, your availability, when you prefer to work on things, whether that's like the weekend or 5 p.m. on a Tuesday. It will also ask, like, are you a commuter? Do you live on campus? Do you have a job outside of school? Do you have other commitments like a sorority or fraternity? Take all of these things into account, also things like leadership style. It takes all of these into account and does an optimization and then forms optimal teams that will work the best together based on all of these different variables. And this is a tool that has been backed by research and actual quantitative evidence as well. So I know that it works, and it has worked very well in the past. And I'm going to lean heavily on the teams that it forms. Now, I will allow you to submit names of people you'd like to work with, but I reserve the right to not put you in this team with people you want to be in. It will really depend on the CAPME survey. And changes can only really be made for like rare circumstances where you can prove that there is a significant conflict due to scheduling. For example, you may have a job that you work on outside of classes, and that then prevents you from meeting up with someone else who also works, and you just have opposite schedules. That's a particular case where I would be willing to shift people around. But again, the CAPME survey works well to account for these things and generally prevents these kinds of conflicts. Okay, so if you are truly dissatisfied with your team, you are allowed to petition me to quit that team. You will then need to come and join another group, or you will need to work on your own. Either of those are fine. I have not had people quit their team before. But if you do have a real problem, please let me know. On the other hand, if a group decides that one of their members is not pulling their weight in this process, you can then petition me to fire that person. And if that person is fired, they will then have to join another team, or they'll just have to work alone. So in this case, if you are just carrying someone and doing all the work for them, and someone is just not contributing to the team, please reach out to me and let me know. And we can handle that as well. They should not be getting credit for not participating and working together as a team. All right, so let's talk about homework in this class. So homework is going to be posted on Canvas with specific due dates. Some of them have already on Canvas. They may not have the right due dates yet, but they will be there. I generally look to have these due on a Friday typically. Typically we'll have them due on a Thursday with a 24-hour grace period, meaning that you can turn them within 24 hours after that. But they are due on Thursday technically. That 24-hour period means that if something goes wrong at 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, then you are not going to have a late assignment, or you won't be not allowed to submit it. You will be allowed to submit it. It will just be late. However, that 24 hours is a total cutoff, meaning that if you do not submit within that 24-hour period, your entire team will get a 0. Okay, so like I mentioned, homework will be done in teams, and each team is going to submit a single copy of the assignment uploaded to the Canvas as PDF. In addition to that, I would like you to include a cover page that describes what each person did on each assignment. I would like you to explain what person worked on what problem, and then if you decide to divide and conquer, I want you to then teach each other the problems. Like I said, the best way to learn this class is for each person to attempt the problems and then come together as a group and work on them, or work simultaneously together on the same problems. But if you choose to do a divide and conquer, I want you to then share, not just share solutions, but actually try and teach each other what's going on. And I want you to describe this in a cover page. And in fact, I will update this syllabus, and you'll see this in the Canvas version. I'll update this and add a red paragraph explaining what I want you guys to do here. Okay, so in general, you should work on a symbolic solution and then substitute numerical values at the end. This will just help you in terms of keeping the math clean. And I want to see details for all of the problems. I don't want to just see an answer. I want to see all of your work, all of your graphics, and so forth. And then the reason for that 24-hour turn-in period is that after 24 hours, I'm going to release solutions, and then that's why I will not allow anyone to submit late. And additionally, because you're submitting a copy for your entire team, if someone has to go out of town and cannot submit during that date, someone else will then, and the team can then submit for them. So in class, we're going to do what I call worksheets. These will be lecture replacements, or they will be example problems that you'll solve. And you're going to do these in teams. And the idea is for you guys to work through the worksheet and help teach each other and learn together, something that I would typically do on the board. So in general, you may not have time to complete these. Hopefully you'll be able to complete most of them. But the whole point is that you work together to try and solve these problems and derive some type of quantity. And this will help you with the learning process. As a result, if you do not attend, then you won't get credit for this. And that being said, at the end of a worksheet, I want everybody to turn in a copy. I'm going to choose one of those, and I will grade one of those at random, and I'll grade that one. So you want to make sure that everyone has the same amount of work completed. You don't want to just rush ahead and leave, your whole group behind, because you're going to lose points for that. Actually, I will take a look through all of them, but I'll grade only one, and I'll make sure that all of you guys are on the same page. Okay, so regarding exams, there are going to be 2 midterms and a final exam. The dates are listed here. If something pops up in terms of in-person classes are canceled, or I suddenly have some travel that pops up, then I will shift these. But as of right now, the plan is to do this. And if you cannot make it for because you have something already scheduled on those days, please let me know in advance and provide some evidence of that. So for each exam, you're going to be allowed to use a single sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11. You can use both front and back. For the first midterm, you can have 1 page. For midterm 2, you can then have the page from midterm 1 and a new 2-page sheet. And then for the final exam, you can have 3 pages of notes. And the final exam will be comprehensive, covering the entire class. Calculators are allowed. They may not necessarily be required, but you should bring them in case they are needed. So something I need to update here is that during exams, what I'm going to have you do is take out your phone and put it out on the desk in front of you upside down and leave it there. And I will be watching to see if you access it ever. And so I'll update the syllabus policy to cover that. And keep in mind that any kind of academic dishonesty, that includes using things like Chegg, and you should not, because there are false solutions out there that I'm aware of and have seen. So I will know if you're using a solution from Chegg. In the case that you are using a solution from Chegg, in that case, you'll get a 0 for the assignment, and I reserve the right to open an academic dishonesty or misconduct case, which can lead to much severe consequences than just getting a 0 or an F for the class. That can lead to academic dismissal, a whole bunch of problems. I recommend you just don't do it. And if you have any issue with the scoring of an exam or a worksheet or homework, because maybe I missed something or I did something wrong, please reach out to me within 1 week of that exam. After 1 week, I will not be changing any scores. Now, if I happen to be on travel during that 1 week period or something like that, in that case, you would send me a message on Discord initiating the conversation, and then I'll extend that 1 week until I get back. And the academic honesty policy is listed here. You can read through that, and you should read through that. And by the way, I also want to just briefly talk about AI and ChatGPT in this class. I've run some of the problems that I've used in the past through ChatGPT, including the more recent versions of it, and they get the problems about half right. And it's to someone who knows the answers, who's written and solved these types of problems. It's really easy to tell when ChatGPT is used because it gets the problem half right, and then it starts to make assumptions that have nothing to do with the problem. So it's in your best interest not to use ChatGPT. And instead of using ChatGPT or Chegg, you should just reach out to me. I'm happy to answer your questions. I will sit there and send you a message on Discord. If you message me after like 5 p.m. on a weekday or a weekend, I may not answer, but I will get back to you relatively soon, within 24 hours. And so I really recommend you use me as a resource rather than something like ChatGPT, or certainly not Chegg. Okay, so here's some references for if you want some additional textbooks for this class, but let's take a look at our outline. So for the next 2 weeks, specifically the first 2 weeks of class, I will be on travel. I will be visiting another university to give a seminar, and then I'll also be going to a conference as well. So that being said, there will be no in-person class. Instead, I will be posting pre-recorded lectures, and this covers the first section that we'll be studying on harmonic oscillators. That'll be the first 3 days of the class. I'll be posting these lectures. You will have a homework assignment on this that you'll be required to do. And then in the 4th day of class, we'll start the second chapter of the class focused on elastic waves, also using that. When we finally meet in class in person for the first time will be February 6th, at which case we'll be doing the very first worksheet. And you will need to have watched the previous lectures that are shown here. And then I'll lastly be traveling again on February 8th, at which point you'll have more pre-recorded lectures to go through as well. If I have to travel again in the future, I will rely on these pre-recorded lectures. They're all going to be posted on YouTube and then linked to Canvas, and you'll be able to go through them on your own time. In the cases where I'm not in class and we're not having in-person class, what I recommend you do is take the time where you would typically have class time, use that time, the 2 to 3:15 on Tuesday and Thursday, use that time to watch the videos, those pre-recorded lectures, or work on homework, or work on the, if we're doing a worksheet instead, do the worksheet. And you already have that time scheduled and set aside to work on this class. Use that time to go through the lectures rather than putting it off. I highly recommend you do that.